All right. Well, hello, everyone. This is Rebecca Dallin with the City of Oklahoma City Stormwater Quality and the Central Oklahoma Stormwater Alliance, or COSWA. I would like to officially welcome everyone to this special training event. If anyone is interested in receiving a certificate of attendance for this training, please send me an email to request it. I will need your email address to be able to send the certificate to you, so please don't request these in chat. If you have any questions about the certificates or haven't received one within a day or so of this webinar, feel free to email me. And I'm going to place my email address into chat right now so everyone will have that handy. Please be sure to keep yourselves muted during this presentation. If you have any questions, simply type them into chat. We might have some time for people to unmute and have conversations with our guest speaker a little bit later. Either way, we will definitely have time at the end for questions. Today, we're going to be hearing from Jeff King of American Excelsior. He'll be sharing information on his presentation titled Evaluation of Rolled Erosion Control Products, Fiber Properties, and Performance. Jeff King has been employed by American Excelsior Company, Earth Science Division, out of Arlington, Texas, as a territory manager since 2008. Mr. King has been involved in the planning and execution of numerous construction projects over the years. These projects have included pipeline right-of-way, frac tank builds, oil rig drill pads, residential, commercial, highway, and linear utility projects. Jeff holds a Certified Professional in Erosion and Sediment Control, or CPESC, certification through EnviroCert International. He is also currently the president of the South Central chapter of the International Erosion Control Association. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my slide. Jeff, thank you for being willing to share this information with us today. Please take it away.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone that is showing up. Let's see, trying to get my PowerPoint through here. No, that is at 100% not it.
You were just kidding with that one, right?
Yeah, just kidding.
April Fool's Day was yesterday, though, so.
Yeah, okay, it would be a window, blah, blah. Okay, there we go. I don't really use Teams very much. It's pretty much all Zoom. So I don't know if you can see my screen or not.
Yes, we can see the sidebar also, so you'll want to hit.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep, perfect.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. What we're doing today is we're going to be looking at the evaluation of the different types of fibers that are used in your traditional erosion control blankets and turf reinforcement mats. This is all my contact information here. If you think of any questions later on, maybe you don't ask today, that's fine. You can feel free to reach out to me at any time. But we'll go ahead and go through this. Let's see. There we go. All right, so what is a rolled erosion control product, or RECP? These are usually going to involve the use of natural or synthetic materials as a fiber matrix that are control the soil erosion and also help establishment of growth of vegetation. These are usually going to be temporarily or permanently designed products installed in these areas that are vulnerable to erosion. These include the ECB, or erosion control blanket, or the turf reinforcement mat. This is going to give you an up-close look of what ECBs kind of look like. This is a digital sample that we have. These can be made of degradable or biodegradable nets. So typically what the industry standard is that's usually a plastic polypropylene netting, but most, if not all, manufacturers of these types of products all have a biodegradable option, which is a jute netting. One of the big differences is if you look at the junctions of the netting, the plastic netting is going to be fixed or welded, whereas this jute netting is not, so it'll flex on its axis. So what that helps with is it's more nature friendly, if you think about it, less animal entanglements, things like that. So having two options for netting is a good thing, especially if you get into more sensitive areas. These are going to be, so basically it's going to be 1 or 2 layers of netting. So these are stitch bonded products. So you're going to have netting on top. You're going to have your fiber matrix. And then if it's a single net, it's going to have your netting, your fiber matrix, and then the stitching that'll go through it. Or if it's a double net product, it'll have your netting on top, your fiber matrix, your stitching, and then another net. The only difference between the two is the extra net typically, because the weights are going to be the same as far as square yard fiber weight. So these are made out of natural fibers. You have the wood fiber blanket or Aspen Excelsior blanket. Then you also have a straw fiber matrix or a coconut fiber that's used. Typically, these are going to only provide you with short-term shear stress support for anywhere from 6 to 36 months, depending on what type of fiber it is. And it does provide you with that vegetation support. Then you have your turf reinforcement mats. These are made up of long-term netting, so usually like a thick black polypropylene netting. These are going to have 2 or 3 layers of netting. So what'll happen is if you've got a 3-net product, you'll have 2 nets on top with your fiber matrix, and then you'll have your stitching and then your netting on the bottom. If it's like just your regular type of TRM, it's going to usually be a double net, so that'll be netting, fibers, stitching, and then netting on the bottom. And so your fiber layer can consist of natural fibers, which would make it a biocomposite turf reinforcement mat. And the reason it's considered a biocomposite TRM is because you have that natural fiber matrix, which is going to last you roughly 36 months at the most. And that will degrade out, but you'll still have your netting permanently. Or you have a synthetic fiber turf reinforcement mat, and that's going to give you more of a permanent protection. So, long-term shear stress protection, long-term vegetation support. So as mentioned, this is just an up-close look of the fiber types that are utilized in these rolled erosion control products and your turf reinforcement mats. If you look on the left, you've got your straw fiber. Notice these fibers are typically flat and hollow. They are a byproduct. You have the coconut fiber, and then you have a blend of the straw and coconut fiber. And usually that's going to be 70% of the fibers metered into the blanket is going to be straw fibers, and then 30% of the fibers metered into the blanket are going to be your coconut fibers. Now, the industry standard weight for the first 3 types of products is going to be a half a pound of fiber per square yard. These types of blankets are typically 8 foot by 112.5 feet, so they're going to come out to about 100 square yards, 100 square yard blanket. And then you've got your Excelsior or Aspen wood fiber blanket. And that's made, these are engineered fibers. So typically, like, these are cut in a specific way for a specific purpose, like with curls and barbs and things like that. And then you've got your synthetic turf reinforcement mats over on the right. These can be made of polyester or polypropylene. So traditionally, what's used in synthetic turf reinforcement mats in the industry is polypropylene. Our company does make a polyester turf reinforcement mat instead. Come on. There we go. So just some things to consider when you're thinking about your fiber type. I mean, your site conditions matter. What kind of shear stress you're asking for, the slope, the length, and the steepness of the slope, that matters. And also you need to consider your vegetation support needs. So, and that's for both, channel and slope protection. So if you're needing something long-term, you're going to need to go with like anything 36 months or more, you're going to need to go with a turf reinforcement mat. Or if it's short term, Less than 36 months, you're going to want to go with the temporary erosion control blanket. And then soil type matters. And then, something else to think about, especially in channel applications, is going to be the specific gravity of the fiber and the blanket. And I'll show you why that matters here in just a second. So what is specific gravity? Specific gravity is going to be the ratio of the density of the substance to the density of a standard. It's usually water, of a liquid or solid, and air for gas. So water is going to have a specific gravity equal to 1. Materials that have a specific gravity less than a 1, these are going to be less dense than water, and so they're going to float on the liquid. If your fiber or your blanket has a specific gravity of more than a 1, then it is not going to float. It will sink. Just want to show you, we do have our own ASTM testing lab facility in Rice Lake, Wisconsin. This is one of our flumes that we test in up there, but this is just to give you an example of what some of these look like, some of these shear stress. I'm not going to talk through the whole thing, but you'll notice as the pounds per foot get larger, or bigger, the water gets wider coming down that flume. You can see also the velocity is picking up as well. So now we'll look at the individual fibers and get an idea of where they come from. Your straw fiber is a byproduct of your agricultural activities. This is typically the least expensive fiber type used in an ECB. It does have the potential to contain some residual seed or weeds. These fibers are typically, if you look at them, they're flat, they're hollow, as mentioned earlier. They are brittle as well. And they do have a specific gravity less than 1, so that means they're going to float. And I'll be able to show you an example of that. And they're going to give you, from a longevity standpoint, which is something that's really important to consider too when you're looking at designing a project, or you want to put your blanket down. You want to think about not only we'll just use for slope applications as an example, but you want to look at your slope gradient, the type of soil, but you also want to look at how long you're wanting that product to last as well. So the longevity or functional longevity of it does matter. This is one of our swales after we had some water flow through it using one of our straw blankets that we manufacture. I'm not going to get into brand names or anything like that here. This is a non-branded presentation, but I do want to also point out that we do manufacture every single type of product that I've mentioned so far. So when we start talking about like the performance side of it, I'm not coming at that from an angle of, well, I only have one thing, so I'm going to, say it's better or worse or whatever than everything else out onto the market. So just wanted to go ahead and clarify that. One of the other issues with a straw fiber blanket, and those being flat and hollow, they're not really grabbing onto your soil or your seed. So you can see here, they prepped their slope, they broadcasted their seed, and then they installed their straw blanket on top of it. The problem is the seed migrated from the top of the slope down towards the bottom, so you don't have an even distribution of your vegetation. So not only is that an eyesore, but you're going to have potential weak spots later on after that straw fibers up top degrade out. So something to consider. Coconut fibers. These are going to give you up to 36 months of longevity. These are imported from Southeast Asia, and unfortunately, because they give a poor carbon footprint to get it here. So what happens is they process these fibers or collect the fibers in Southeast Asia. They throw them on a large container and then throw them on a boat that has to sail from there to here to get the fibers to North America. And because of that, that means that this is a non-native fiber matrix to North America. And one of the other issues with this fiber we've had is availability sometimes can be an issue because piracy has been a problem along the route at times. So we've had delays in being able to get our coconut fibers to make these types of blankets before. They are dark colors, so because it's dark, it can actually cause seed burnout before you can ever get germination. And does have a specific gravity of less than 1. So like the straw fibers, this one will also float. Just wanted to give you an idea on kind of what a coconut blanket install looks like here in a swale. So next you have the aspen wood fiber. This fiber is it's naturally seed free. It is native to North America. There's Great Lakes aspen, which is what our company uses, and then there's aspen stands out west. Fun fact about aspen is couple fun facts is one, it's not actually a tree. It's considered a weed or invasive, and the largest, or at one point, the largest living organism in North America was an aspen stand, and I believe it was like 17 square miles. So it's probably much bigger than that now. That might be kind of old data if you think about it. But anyway, the other thing is if you've seen the movie Christmas Story, when Ralphie's dad collects his very special award, the infamous leg lamp, and he busts open the crate and he pulls the lamp out and there's fibers in there. Those fibers in there are actually wood fibers. They're Excelsior wood fibers, like the Curlex fiber. These are engineered. As mentioned earlier, we do curl these. We put the barbs in here. We cut them with a specific type of blade. We basically engineer these fibers for this specific purpose. So yeah. And then one of the other benefits of aspen is it holds its weight in moisture. And because of that, they actually use for like the swamp coolers out west or in the Middle East, like we have a wood fiber division. They use these pads in the swamp coolers. And another fun fact is the first rolled erosion control blanket came to be because somebody discarded a few of those swamp cooler pads on the side of a slope out at a ski resort, and we had a rep go out there that realized that there was no soil erosion, and then boom, the rolled erosion control product industry was born from that. And being able to hold its weight in moisture means that it will speed up your vegetation because the aspen fiber will give you a greenhouse effect. So it'll give you faster vegetation than any of the other fiber types. And then because the fibers will grab onto your soil, they will not float. And I'll be able to show you an example of that here in just a second. Another difference here, I'm going to pause this for just a second. So another thing here is I want to show you what these fibers do over soil irregularities. And one of the most common soil irregularities on a construction site is going to be track voids. So on the left, you're going to see straw fibers over the track void, and on the right, you're going to see the Excelsior fibers over the track void. We spray both and get them both wet, and then I'll let you see the results. So you can see the straw fibers actually don't really do anything. So you still have that void underneath your blanket. And so if you've got that void, that means you have a potential weak spot and a chance of having some erosion underneath it. Whereas on the right, you can see the Excelsior fiber, it puffs up when it gets wet. If I did this presentation for you in person, I have a cool little kit that's got about a 6-inch pad of Excelsior that I would spray at the beginning, and then I would show you, when I'm done how thick it is. So you can see here in that time-lapse video how it expanded up and then it went down into your void. So, you know, you have less of a weak spot there. Show you what what a swell looks like with the wood fiber blanket. Something else to point out too, you know, I showed you that slide earlier with the with that straw blanket that had the seed that migrated down the slope. If you notice here, look at the vegetation and just how evenly distributed it is compared to that one photo a few minutes ago. This is what the wood fiber products look like on a slope. You can see no seed migration here. Even distribution of vegetation, and everything looks nice and pretty and green. That had to have been not here in Texas, and definitely not uh, after the month of July, because everything's pretty much brown here after that. So this is the comparison that I wanted to show you. Just a little bit of background. Both of these products are ours. Both of these products were installed to manufacturers' recommendations. We want to do things the right way and not skew the results in any way. So I'm just going to press play on the video here. You can see as the water rolls down the swale here, you can see the fibers lift up because of that specific gravity being less than 1. And look at the color of the runoff. So that means that you're having erosion underneath where that product is. And obviously water quality is you know, the end result that we want to be good here, right? So look at the Excelsior. You see the same flow rate and everything. That Excelsior product, it velcroed down onto that soil, those barbs curled and interlocked, and look at the color of that runoff. It's completely crystal clear. We're going to watch that again. And it's not like that's a gully washer flow rate either. That's almost like a trickle, if you ask me. But yeah, having runoff that color, that's not good. So Great Lakes aspen fibers, they do filter out contaminated runoff. They'll filter out your hydrocarbons, things that are often components of asphalt, fuels, oils, and those kind of things. And you know that fiber is used not only in rolled erosion control products, but it's also used in sediment control devices too. So something to consider for like your perimeter control, stuff like that. So TRM equals turf reinforcement mat. This is always going to contain at least some permanent components, but it can also contain a degradable fiber matrix, which is what makes it that biocomposite that I was talking to you about earlier. So when are TRMs used on slopes? They're typically going to be used when you want that permanent vegetation or if your slope gradient is steeper than a 1-to-1. And then in channels, or wait, that all right, never mind. Probably go over that next. I might have got ahead of myself here. So one of the other things too is I want to show you the difference. Look at the erosion control blankets below. What those offer is they offer you root protection. Whereas a turf reinforcement mat, comparatively speaking, not only offers you root protection, but also protects your stem. So, you know, when you have these types of products installed in an area where you know you're expecting big hydraulic events, having that stem protection is very valuable. And as mentioned earlier, these are usually made with your synthetic fibers when you want that long-term vegetation support. They give you the high shear stress applications. I think like our highest rated one is like 14 pounds per square foot shear stress. But there's two types of fiber sources when it comes to the synthetics. Ours is polyester, so it's going to be like considered like a post-consumer good. It's made out of recycled green soda and water bottles. It does have a specific gravity greater than 1, whereas typically the turf reinforcement mats you're going to see out in the market are going to be polypropylene based. These are your virgin plastics, and they do have a specific gravity less than 1. So meaning during a hydraulic event, if it's not anchored down properly, it can float. And I'll be able to show you that here in a second. So they offer you really good support in your swales. You can see here at the bottom, you've got a fully vegetated swale here. So this is what I was talking about floating. I'm gonna just show you the difference. You have the polyester-based product on your left, and the polypropylene products are gonna be on your right. So obviously, as mentioned before, if your product floats or whatever your device you're using floats, that means you've got a weak spot under where that's BMP is supposed to be. You really do, as mentioned on the slide, you want to make sure that that BMP has intimate contact with the soil. So obviously your fiber type is going to be important, and which ones float. If you look, we'll go from left to right. I showed you that straw fibers float. Did not have a video of coconut or straw coconut blend, but I can assure you they float. Your polypropylene based synthetic fibers will float. The aspen wood doesn't float, and then neither does your polyester synthetic fiber that's used in some TRMs. So we're kind of ending up here. Just to summarize here, your fiber type selection, that's going to be critical to how successful that installation is. Again, especially in channel applications, you really do want to think about specific gravity, because something else that I didn't show here that is in one of our other presentations is that you have to think about if your synthetic product ends up floating. A lot of times what happens is there's debris that'll come down these channels, and then you run the risk of that debris latching onto the floating TRM and ripping it up and ruining that installation. So just something to think about. And then us, along with other companies in the industry, we all have design software that you can use. We all have websites with technical resources with your spec sheets and things like that you can get to. If you want to hear about mine, you can reach out to me later. I'll be happy to go over that with you. All right. So I will stop sharing for just a second and answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Yeah, we do have a few questions. Alyssa asked a couple of questions. Have these been tested with native vegetation rather than grass? Some of the native vegetation types require light to germinate. Is there any negative effect?
Yeah, I mean, we've tested them all over actually, and obviously it's going to depend on what the native blend, and the native blends are going to be different depending on where you are. So like a native blend here is going to be different than a native blend in Colorado, but we've tested, and in the industry in general tests at TTI, which is on the Rellis campus and usually they're unvegetated tests anyway. But we test our products at the at TTI, which is down at Texas A&M on the Rellis campus. which is a really cool facility, by the way. TRI, I believe Utah State has some testing, and then Colorado State. But also, too, something to think about is I know that Jamie Schussler up at Oklahoma State has a research lab. So you'll probably be seeing a lot of different products being tested for different things up there in the near future. So that'd be pretty awesome.
Right, and we're going to be hearing from some of Jamie's graduate students April 24th. COSWA has a special webinar for that as well. So,
Oh, nice. Those students are great. They really are. They really are. So I see, can you mow over them? Yeah, you can mow over them. So, you asked about turf reinforcement mats, but I'll cover like an ECB first. We do have like a quick mow option, which is a rapid degrade polypropylene net that'll go away. It's white, right? So that means with UV exposure, it's going to go away. And then you'll have just your fibers. You can mow, but I mean, obviously you want to allow like better vegetation, or at least higher vegetation to grow up. So don't drop your deck of your mower down to the very bottom of it. But one of the things that we've pointed out too, when it comes to turf reinforcement mats is that's always a better alternative if it's an area that you want to mow compared to like riprap, because you definitely can't mow over that. So yes.
Alyssa has another question there. You mentioned hydrocarbon capture properties. Have nutrient capture properties been tested with the turf mats or fiber mats?
I'm going to be honest with you. I never have a problem saying I don't know. I'm going to say I don't know, but I do have in my nice little phone here the phone number of the guy that runs our lab. So I would be happy to gather that information or find that out. At the very least, it'll be good for me to know if somebody else asks me that.
Right. And then Curtis asks, are you or have you used these with compost options for nutrients? Oklahoma's red soil is a bit lacking.
Oh yeah, so great story. That's a great story. So our product was used out in Colorado Springs. There was a quarry that was out there that they're trying to rehab and donate it to the city. So they'd been working on it and trying to get vegetation there. And I have the case study actually. I'd be happy to provide that. Of course, Alyssa. But they basically the first year they tried to use like a straw fiber blanket and just a fiber blanket. That was it. And they couldn't get good vegetation. And obviously, you can't close that out until you get vegetation going. So the next year, they designed a system where they used a biotic soil medium. I believe, you know what? I don't mind mentioning the product. It was Proganics from Profile, along with our Curlex 2 product, and they got fantastic vegetation. Curtis, if you will send me an email, I will respond to you with the link to that case study. I'd be happy to do that.
And then I had a question earlier. What would be the best option or options for clay soils to reinforce and vegetate the slopes on a landfill?
Well, I mean, again, you have to consider your slope gradient and the length of the slope. There are definitely options, and one of the great things is, as I mentioned, us along with the other manufacturers in the industry, we have designed software. So what that software is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to enter in. So for your question, we'll say a slope. You're going to be able to enter in your width, your length, your soil type, how long you want the product to last, what kind of rainfall events you're expecting. And then there's also like a biodegradable option that you can enter in there. And so based on that data that you put in, you can then populate, like for ours, like a good, better, best, and it'll show you tons per acre per year of soil loss. So you can definitely do that and plug that in, and it'll give you the best option for what you're looking to do. There are CAD details in there, materials estimator, and if you know the costs of these things, both the material and the installed cost, as an engineer or planner, you can plug that information in and save it as like a PDF. and put that in your file, or print it and put it in your file, whatever. But yeah, there's definitely options for that. And it's going to obviously be site specific. Because there's also, landfills, you do have swells and stuff like that too. So you might have to use like a hard armor system, down the middle, and then use blankets on the side slopes. We, like, our company partners with Fleximat. I'm sure y'all know who they are. They're a big deal in Oklahoma. So yeah, like a concrete articulated block. But yes, you can certainly do that.
Cool. It looks like there's a couple of people that are interested in that study. Would you mind sending it to me, and then I can just send it out to
Oh,
people?
100%. I'll
Cool.
send it to you after we get done here.
Sure. And then Alyssa asks, when used for perimeter sediment control, how resistant are these products to vehicular traffic? Should they be used alone or in concert with another BMP?
It depends on what it is, right? I mean, obviously you don't want your trades just constantly going over. I mean, we know how it is on these job sites and how much care they take of BMPs that don't really concern them. I've seen silt fence run over. We have logs with the Excelsior fibers in them. We also have some high visibility inlet logs that we use. And then what you're starting to see more in the state of Oklahoma, and it's a very big deal in Texas, is for like residential and commercial construction, using like a 4 or an 8 foot buffer strip of an Excelsior product up against the curb. And that is a low profile device. So that allows that easier access on and off your site. Now, obviously you don't want people doing donuts on it, but one of the great things about the Excelsior, you can't use a straw product in the same application. It won't work the same way. You're going to get mud out in the streets. It's going to happen. But the Excelsior, if you have a damaged area, guess what? You can cut it and splice it in. Boom, problem solved.
Nice.
Anybody else?
Well, we'll just keep an eye on chat and see if there's anything else. I think we had another subject we were going to talk about, Jeff.
Yeah, we did. As mentioned earlier by Rebecca, I'm currently the sitting president for the South Central chapter of the International Erosion Control Association. What that covers is it covers Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, but also it covers Oklahoma. So we are a chapter of the international organization. We are actually at 1 o'clock today. I've got to hop on my. Yes, I will actually mention that too. I'm going to hop on our first planning call for the conference that we are hosting this year in Oklahoma City. And one of the great things about that is we get to partner with a lot of the folks that are there locally, including Rebecca. She's going to be on the planning committee and help us plan that conference. And what that's going to entail is we're going to be looking at building our content for what y'all want. Last year in San Marcos, we had our conference down there, and typically the organization focused on just erosion and sediment control. But with the EPA Region 6 not doing their conference anymore, we want to step up as a chapter, as an organization, and provide you with that extra content, with that MS4 type of content, and regulatory content. So we ended up having a tract, a normal tract with the erosion sediment control stuff, but then also a stormwater tract for our MS4. So what we really want to do is we want to make sure, that we're able to, provide you with that and be a resource. And not only just at the conference, we're trying to provide you with that kind of thing, throughout the year. So last year we tried to do monthly presentations, and we found it a little bit difficult for some months. So what we've done this year is we decided to truncate it down, to drill down on just a few of the months. So obviously January is pretty much out. We're not going to do January. We have the IECA Global Conference in February. So the months we're focusing on is March through September. So we had a snag last month, so we actually we're going to be doubling up this month. We had a presentation yesterday on the 1st, and we're going to have another one on the last Tuesday. I know that Rebecca has been pushing those notifications out, or just letting people know, and we've been trying to push out yours to our social media as well. But we're trying to provide you with that content throughout the year, because the last thing we want to do as an organization is say, okay, give me your membership fee. Here's a conference that we're having once a year. See you next year. We want to provide value to you year in, year, all year long, within reason. Of course, obviously November and December, come on. We're not, everybody's going to be busy. And one of the months that's been really hard is sometimes when deer season starts. That's another hard one, depending on where you are. But yeah, so we're trying to do that. And we had conversations with COSWA this last year, because we wanted to, as a board, we wanted to find organizations that are aligned with our priorities as far as education, and just promoting the industry and things like that. So we wanted to align with COSWA. So we were able to sit down and have a conversation with Derek and Rebecca and some of the other board members for COSWA. And we came to the conclusion that we would really like to share resources, which we are currently doing. But for our part of it, we are actually, if you are a member of COSWA that is verified through Rebecca, the chapter will fund or subsidize half of your first year membership to IECA. So you would only spend half of that. And you know what? Shame on me. I cannot remember the exact cost on it, but just know we'll pay half of it.
Usually it's a $200 membership, so you'd save $100 plus. Once you become a member, then any conferences, workshops, webinars that IECA hosts, you'd also get a discount on those registrations as well. So it's really a great deal. So thank you, Jeff, for being willing to do that.
Oh, of course. And and the thing is the stuff the chapter does, we don't charge for that. That's free. Like those presentations that we're trying to do, we're not charging for that. I mean, obviously we charge for our conference, which will be October, I believe, 7th and 8th of this year. It'll be downtown Oklahoma City at the Sheridan. So we hope y'all will attend.
Yep, I put a link to the conference in the chat. But yeah, and then IECA has, I think, monthly-ish webinars, and those are $40 for non-members or $15 for members. Now there's different levels of membership. But yeah, for the most part, that's the pricing.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I want to make sure to point out with these presentations we're trying to do, not just at our conferences, but also the monthly ones. We're trying to make those educational. We don't want those to be a sales pitch, which is why I realized actually on one of those slides I left a brand name in there, so I'm kind of mad at myself. But like we want non-branded presentations that are educational. And that's a priority for us, because that's our main mission, is to educate people on erosion and sediment control and stormwater. So anyway.
Great. All right. Well, I put into chat a couple of different opportunities, including if anyone wants a certificate of attendance for today, be sure to send me an email. I've gotten a few emails already. And then if anyone's interested in that discounted IECA membership, just give me an email about that as well. And of course, like I mentioned, we posted the link for the SCIECA conference in October, so you can keep an eye on that and register when you're able to do that. We've also got a link for our COSWA YouTube channel. We will provide a recording of this presentation on there here in a few days, so it should be ready. Oh, great. Well, I don't see any other questions in chat. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute at this time. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And Jeff, can you hang out for a few more minutes and see if we have any additional questions? Great, thank you.